I am so excited about today's video because we're going to talk about design and style, basically things that I know nothing about, but I brought an expert. I wanted to introduce you, if you can share a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Maddy. I am with Morgan Design Studio. We are a residential interior design firm. We are based in California as well as Arizona, taking on projects everywhere. So we focus on elevating your personal design aesthetic. We really love the Tehachapi area because there's so many different architecture styles, which I think we'll get into.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what we're going to start. We're going to start about talking about just the different styles that we have here. And then you're going to kind of talk about some of the design things that could really be kind of flow with some of those statements. And then we're going to go into talking about some things that buyers can look for. We're going to talk to sellers who maybe want to get a little return on their investment if they're looking to sell their home, maybe sell it quicker. And then we'll just talk a little bit more of a generalized overview of what the process is like if you're considering doing any sort of remodel or design changes. So I will leave my contact information below and your contact information below. So if you have further questions or you want to talk to either of us about buying or selling, that's me, or design, that's her, you can contact us with the information below. So what do you see here as far as the different variety?
Yeah, there are so many different types of houses here. I think probably the number one is you see a lot of ranch style, but there's a lot mixed in that are really unique and have a lot of character, such as like a log cabin house, an A-frame, contemporary, off the grid. You see that a lot too. So with all these different architecture styles, it's really blending your personal design aesthetic as well as finding a design aesthetic that blends with that architecture style. So I wanted to take as an example a log style cabin. So there are quite a few up here, and you see that they have really textured walls. You're going to see the logs come through in the house. You're going to see a more rustic feel. But maybe you want something that doesn't feel log cabin-esque. So bringing in maybe a modern design aesthetic and blending it with a log cabin. So how would you do that though? So you want to appreciate the architecture. I always hate it when people come in and they slap on farmhouse when it's not a farmhouse because it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't blend.
Yeah, it doesn't, no. So what you want to do is you really want to appreciate the architecture and accentuate the pieces that you really love. So if you have a log cabin, maybe it's the roof line, maybe it's the texture of the walls. So take that, love that, make that a focal piece, and add furniture and accessories that are going to work well with that. So you want to bring a more modern style to your log cabin. I would say you want clean lines in your furniture. So, but also keeping maybe the same color tones. So in a log cabin, you're going to have a lot of neutral tones come through. So keeping that in your furniture. Also texture. I think texture is a huge play in furniture in a unique home like that. So adding maybe a neutral ottoman with a boucle fabric, so something that has a lot of texture in it. Just keeping things simple, modern, and then having that log cabin be the hero of the space. So that's how I would blend those two together.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can blend two very different styles together. It's just not every style is going to go well with every piece of architecture.
Yes.
So a log cabin is going to be an extreme here, and we do have, I have buyers who are excited about those, but I know that's not for everyone. So let's talk about the flip side. So one thing I see a lot of is the ranch style. Yeah. And with those, they may not have any strong, bold statements.
For sure.
So how can you change kind of a simple palette that doesn't really have any defined style? And what are some things that you could do in an affordable way to give it some style, if that makes sense?
For sure. We see a lot of homes, I call them a track home. So something that's like mass produced in communities. And we have clients who are like, my home has no character. It's lacking in every way. That's because a builder came in and put the most inexpensive pieces in your home. So what we want to do when we come into a home like this, a ranch style, we want to add character. So where we see this is in your ceiling, in your wall details. You want to add depth. You want to add color. You want to add texture. So if that's a wallpaper, if that's a wall treatment as a board and batten, a shiplap, something that's what's going to give your house character. So you see that in older homes. That's something that people really love about older homes, is that character. We want to bring that into a ranch style home, but we want it to make sense. So it's where it doesn't make sense is where it transitions. So making sure it transitions well in a ranch style home is how you're going to add that in there. Say you have a more rustic style, but you have a ranch style home. Maybe it's adding beams to the ceiling.
Right, and which is a great way to add some character that it doesn't have the character. Okay, so really, what I'm getting is if there isn't really much character, if it is kind of more of a simple home, you want to bring in the depth and the statements with some wall accents and some possible ceiling.
Exactly.
Okay, and then if you have a little too much character, you might want to come in and, have that contrast work. So,
yes.
Okay.
All about balance.
Yeah. All right, so the people that I deal with the most are going to be buyers, and I love helping buyers. It's my favorite thing because that's what I can relate to. When I moved here 5 years ago, I had a really great agent who helped me and answered all my questions, and it was new and exciting and scary all at the same time. One thing I have learned, both through myself and also buyers that I help, are that you can get very big ideas when you're looking at homes, and sometimes it can be overwhelming and sometimes it can be actually unrealistic. So can you talk about what things to look for with home potential, and what are some different options that buyers should consider when actually looking at homes?
Yeah, so when you're looking at a home, my number one advice would be to fall in love with the layout. So the layout is going to be the hardest and most costly thing to change. So really look at the function, your lifestyle, and how you're going to work in this space. Because if you can save that layout, you don't have to move plumbing, gas lines, walls, then you're going to actually be saving a lot.
Okay.
So that would be my number one thing.
And describe to me, what do you mean by layout?
Okay, so I mean the floor plan of the home. So if you walk in and this home has a really large entryway and does not have a mudroom, and you have 4 kids and you need a mudroom, that's something that you're going to have to address. That's not working in this layout. So
now, can you address by adding a mudroom, or would that potentially be too much?
That's costly.
Okay.
So if you're adding to the foundation, you're adding walls, that's going to be a higher price point than if the layout really works for you.
Okay.
Because if the layout really works for you, and say it has blue carpet,
you can change it.
That you can change it. Changing carpet is easy, and that's not going to be as costly as adding a whole room to a home. So looking beyond the carpet, looking beyond the paint, those are easy fixes when looking at a home. Yeah, because the layout needs to make sense. Because say it has 3 bathrooms and the 3 bathrooms are ugly as all get out, you can change that. But if that sink is staying in the same place, it's going to cost you a lot less than if you are moving that bathroom to another side of the house.
Right.
So the layout is for sure.
Layout is the most important thing. Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's actually good to know. No one ever told me that, so that probably would have saved me some time. But it is important, especially your lifestyle, and if you do have kids or family to consider, I think that's really, really helpful. So what are so you're saying the paint and the flooring are pretty cost-effective ways to make improvements. Do you have any tips on someone to look past the design when they're looking at houses so that you don't get caught up in some of the clutter? Now, ideally, sellers will eliminate some of that, but sometimes they don't. And sometimes it's hard to look past the family photos or the design.
For sure.
Do you have any tips on how to see that layout and the bones of it?
Yeah, it can be so hard to visualize. I mean, I would think my number one tip would be have a designer on your team. Know a designer. You can always bring a designer when looking at a home before you even purchase it. They can really help you visualize the space and how it will work for you past all of that. Because it can be really hard to see past other people's things.
It's almost like when you watch a TV show and they've got the designer there and they're like, okay, don't panic. We can fix this, and it's not going to be too much.
Yes.
So that's actually something that you've done before, is you go before they even put an offer and say, I think we can work with this.
Exactly.
Wow, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. That's what I'll be doing next time I buy. Okay, so buyers looking at the layout, looking past some of the clutter or some of those more cosmetic things and focusing on the core things.
Yes.
Okay. So sellers. Here's something, if you go to sell your home, when it's a market like it was the last couple years and things are moving so quickly, people were told maybe don't paint those walls all the same color. People are going to buy it whether you have all neutral walls or not. But the market's shifting a little bit and we're actually kind of normalizing and things are sitting a little bit longer. So if you or someone you know has a house on the market and it's not selling as quickly as you want, you're not getting the offers you want, what are some things that people can do pretty affordable that you're going to get a good return on and
maybe your house will sell faster?
That's the goal.
Yes. So seeing for buyers coming into a home, it's easier for them to visualize themselves in the home when it's more of a blank slate. So you've all heard this before, but painting your rooms neutral colors. So bringing in, one of my favorites is White Dove by Benjamin Moore. Okay. So coming in there and having a nice bright white that really allows the buyers when coming in to see themselves in your home. Okay. I also say eliminate the personal objects. So the family photos, grandma's grandfather clock, take those things out because it's going to be easier for the buyer to visualize themselves there when you're not there.
Actually there.
Yeah, when it's not like you're living there, sadly.
And that's something that you can, in a sense, do for free. Or at most, you might want to rent a storage unit and put some of those personal items, declutter a little bit. But that is a very cost-effective way that does help people not have to look past some of that.
And I think the number one saying would be less is more.
Yeah.
Like, you think it's perfect, take one more thing away.
Yeah.
Then it's better in those situations. Just you really want that buyer to visualize themselves living in your home.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, if you take away your personal things, it might let the character of your own house, so say you have board and batten, it might allow that to shine more so that buyer can see, oh, we do have interesting wall details here or an interesting roof line that we can play with.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
And, again, I love seeing homes, all different styles, all different conditions. And I actually like seeing them when there's some furniture in there because you can kind of visualize how the space works. But less is more.
Yeah, for sure.
100% agree. And those simple things of just removing family photos makes a big difference.
It does.
We love your families. Buyers want to visualize their family.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to kind of talk a little bit briefly on what are some general expectations and what is the process like. Let's say you're going to buy a home and let's say your total budget is $450,000, but you bought a home at $350,000 because you do want to make it your own and you want to come in with $100,000 to, revamp it. What's the process like and what are some general expectations that they should consider?
Yeah, so whenever starting the design process, we always say, first step, write down your trouble spots. Write down everything that, makes you crazy about this home. Like, I hate that the refrigerator's there. It bumps into this cabinet. It does not make sense. Write it all down. Next, define your wants and your needs before we even touch anything. So you've always wanted that spice rack next to your oven. You've always wanted that built-in ice maker. Write those things down. And then lastly, think about how you want the space to feel. So do you want it to feel more minimal and fresh, or you want that more rustic, warm feeling? So think about those things. Write those all down. Then the next biggest thing in the design process is assembling your team. So if you're doing a remodel, so you bought a house, finding that designer and finding that designer that you can trust. We always say, we really want you to like us as people because like a real estate agent, you are going to be with us.
You're stuck with us.
Exactly. For a while.
Yeah.
The design process can take anywhere from a few months to years. So you really want to love your team. So love your designer. Find a designer you can trust. Find a real estate agent you can trust when buying your home. Find that contractor that you can trust. So assembling that team is the next most important thing. I would say the next important thing is to always add more time and more money when budgets come in.
Okay.
So say you have that contractor, just always expect a little bit more and a little bit more time.
Okay. So if they give you, hey, this is going to cost you $25,000 to do these few things, maybe budget for 30.
Exactly.
And then if they say it's going to take 2 weeks, maybe just expect 3.
Exactly.
Okay.
I always just tell, and even if I am in love with that contractor and he is great and amazing, I always just add a little bit more.
Be realistic.
Be realistic.
Yeah.
And especially in times we're still seeing delays and crazy long lead times. So things happen, life happens. You know, when you open up those walls, you don't know if you're going to have to be rewiring everything or, oh, that plumbing was actually shot. So
Be prepared.
Yeah.
Be realistic.
Be realistic is huge. We'd never want to have unrealistic expectations with our clients. So we're really honest through the design process.
So on that honesty note, and we'll kind of close out a little bit here, 2 things. If you didn't know, some lenders are able to give loans that accommodate some remodel costs.
Yep.
So if you really only want to spend if you're pre-approved for $500,000, you really only want to spend $450,000, and you're looking at homes and you're not finding anything that's a good fit. Maybe look at some homes that are less and talk to your lender about, could you possibly get a loan where you buy a home at $350,000 and you put $100,000 into it to make it your own. That's just something to open up some opportunities and possibilities for you. But I'm not going to lie. When I hear designer, I think expensive and out of my budget. So can you talk about some of the different options that you do for people at all price points?
So on our website, we talk a lot about our different design services because we really want to make it accessible for everyone. So we have a service called distance design. So this means you can live anywhere. We do our design process fully remote. We talk to you, we talk about your wants and needs, and we figure out what you're missing. So say you want a furniture plan for your living room. You really just can't figure out that perfect layout and can't find that sectional that you love. We come in for a flat rate fee and we source those pieces and we figure out the best layout for that room. So all we need from you is a few photos of that space, the dimensions of that room, and then we get going on our design process to get you a design plan that first works with your space and then is personal to you and your design aesthetic. So we have done that with people from New York to Texas to California, everywhere.
So that's going to be an affordable option if someone's having a hard time designing a space, not really the remodel side, but just making it flow and work with their wants and needs. They can basically choose that option, and that starts as low as and goes up from $1,000, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And that's someone who wants to also be a little bit more involved in the design phase. So we design it and then we hand it off to you. We source everything retail so that you have access to those pieces. You can buy them at your own leisure. Say, you know, this month you want to buy the sectional, next month you want to buy the swivel chairs.
You can do it over a 12-month period if you need to.
You can. So we give you access to all the information you need for you to complete that design process.
Okay.
But say you have a remodel or you're building a new home and you're like, I need someone there to help me through the whole thing.
Because partly that's maybe where you're investing a little more money, so you want to make that money. So let's say you are getting that house where you're buying it at $350,000, and yes, we have homes at that price point, but it needs some work, and you want to put $100,000 into it. Utilizing you would make sure that that $100,000 is going to be best utilized, but you also cut down some of the work for the buyer or the homeowner because you're going to be working with the contractor and the people involved to help that process be smooth. So
say you're in that situation, we would be there through the whole design process. We're going to design everything for you, personalized to your design aesthetic and your home. We're going to source those plumbing fixtures. We're going to find that perfect tile for you. We're going to do the drawings so the contractor knows exactly what he's doing when he's in your home.
Because contractors, we love them, but they are not designers.
Exactly. So they don't know where everything's going to go and how it's going to fit perfectly, but we do. So we give them the tools to implement the design. We're also there because there's always questions from those contractors. And if you've gone through Remodel, you know that he is asking you, the client, but I am there to answer those questions and use my design experience to answer those questions so that your remodel goes smoothly. So we're there through the whole design process. We're making sure that that contractor is working well on your project, and then we finish it out with you. We're there through the whole time.
Yeah, which is helpful because then you're not left hanging. Now you can do one room, you can do an entire house. You can also help someone if they're building a custom house to consider some of the design things while you're building. So those are some of the So you have one extreme to the other.
Yeah, so we have distance design and then we have full service.
Okay, got it. Okay, so on that, we just did a general overview. So I think that the best takeaway is really focusing on that layout if you're a buyer and decluttering if you're a seller. That's going to be two really helpful main things. If you are interested in buying or selling in Tehachapi, you could definitely reach out to me. And if you're interested in either the virtual design, which that's what I'm going to be using at some point, or if you want someone to actually help you with a much larger project, her information is going to be down below. I'm so excited that you came up to help address some of this. And if you guys have more questions, leave them below. We'll both be able to answer or contact us.
Yes.
So on that note, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to hit that thumbs up and follow us on social media. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Thanks.